we can call this meeting ordered.
Again, I'm sorry.
No, thanks for joining us. So, let's call the meeting ordered at 7:10. Please. We are being videotaped.
Is that normal?
Yeah,
That's a tradition.
I guess it's somewhat standard, yeah. This is only our second.
For us, it is.
That's definitely not
But
safe.
for vote for town meetings.
And we will recognize two guests. We'll start with John. John, tell me your interests or?
I've been trying to get here for some time. I just moved to Scituate maybe about a year ago. And so finally,
Okay.
the stars are in line.
Okay, so an interested bystander?
Yeah, I'd like to contribute as much as I can, especially to this kind of part of it. And my wife, she's on the Scituate Arts Council, so she's already, in place, so I feel like I can.
I'm welcome.
That's great. Great. Well, it's nice to have you. Thank you for coming. Okay, so let's review and vote on the minutes from our last meeting.
Move the minutes of the prior meeting, dated November 28, 2012.
We'll second that.
Is there discussion? Questions, comments?
There's one typo. On should be off.
Okay, where are we here?
And the second last clause.
One of the
One
the last paragraph.
There it is.
On behalf of the EDC.
Ah, good catch.
Okay, then, do I need to make a motion, Bill?
No, I made the motion second. You just,
So then
you
all
just
of
voted.
those passing.
uh,
5-7.
Mr. Chairman, point of information, do you know why we're being filmed again for a second, round? How come you guys are here a second time? Any idea?
It's in town government law. All the town meetings are filmed by SCTV.
Oh, really? Since when? Well, we haven't.
No, we haven't.
Except for the November 28th. So you're going to be at every meeting?
Yep, me or someone else from SCTV will be.
Cool, okay. Are there any public comments? John? No?
No, not yet.
Laura?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, well, we'll move on then. We have a number of things to cover. We need to go over the MAPC proposals, both to talk about which one we want to move ahead with or recommend, and also as it applies to the 2014 budget proposal, which is also on this agenda a little bit later. The annual report, which is number 5 for the planning board, we might be able to table or to delay at least, because that meeting is not going to be on December 20th. There is now a conflict. The planning board has a couple of other more pressing issues that they need to cover at that meeting. So they've asked us to move it to, is it January 10th?
Yeah.
And so let me take, so anyway, we'll come back to that. I don't think it's out of order, but that can be maybe a little quicker discussion, especially since Victor isn't here at the moment. We want to talk a little bit about the 3+1 and some next steps on that. And I think the other, we have 2 other major issues. One is this 2014, is it 14 budget?
Yes.
14 budget.
14.
And also, under other business, I'd like to talk about the meals tax and the warrant that closes on 12/18 for the spring meeting. Okay? So that's just a quick overview. Let's go move to the MAPC discussion. So, I have some copies for some folks if you need.
No.
Yes, go ahead.
The MAPC share, we have 2 proposals, one 22,000, one 62,000.
We actually had 3 proposals because you had a $39,000 proposal, which was
The original last year, well, right.
Two.
But it's 15,000 across the board from MAPC on each of them.
That is
So
my
it's our
understanding.
share that's changing.
Correct, that's my understanding. And Laura, is that yours as well,
Yes, yeah.
right? That's a potential.
And if I could ask, Mr. Chairman, we can really vote on it if we don't know what our budget will be for next year?
Well, what I think we need to do is agree in this meeting on what we want to put forth as our recommendation to put into the 2014 budget line item for this.
Okay.
I mean, part of the way I saw this, I was looking at the $64,000 proposal.
Yeah.
It looks like there could be a phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 being what they actually deem phase 1, plus the market studies, which is about 27,000.
Right.
And we currently have roughly 9 from FY13 funding as our share.
Right.
If this money was to come in from MAPC in, I believe, April, or is that roughly next year? I think their horizon was about 2 months for that phase. You could actually get that done April or June as phase 1, and then our budget proposal would be phase 2. The reason I asked whether it's entirely our share is because phase 2 would then be entirely us. And then it is entirely predicated on the outcome of the FY14 budget. But it would be a $37,000 request for that piece.
Right.
Well, maybe we should actually look at the proposals first and see what we think is.
Yeah. So I have copies of I have the 39,000. We've done with it.
39 reservation.
Pardon?
Is that our original?
That's the original one, and I have the 23. I have copies for everybody. I just, before this meeting, found the 64, and I did not have a chance to print multiple copies, but I do have at least one copy of that one.
And I've got a copy as well.
I think I do.
I've got one of the 64 that I can share.
So MAPC stands for Metropolitan Area Planning Council. And they're hoping to share in some type of expenditure that we might put in front of the town to talk about the other potential development. And they're willing to participate partner with us. They've been here a few meetings in the past.
Yeah. So,
Their rates went from 85 an hour to so the 39 is probably actually not entirely.
Because of
right,
that.
because of that change, it's likely to be $5 an hour times 60
It's probably
hours.
42.
Yeah.
I'm just noting between the 39 and the 64, the significant difference is phase 2 public engagement. It's 100 hours there.
I think it's public engagement.
And then the second market study.
Right. I want to just check. I think there is also more public engagement, isn't there?
In the 64, yeah,
Yeah.
a lot more.
Right.
That's I think, the biggest difference. There's basically a second independent market study. They chalk up to 10,000 each.
Right.
But then the bigger chunk, I think, is in the public engagement process.
Was he also going to do or have done a housing market analysis in the 64?
Yes.
And the bigger one, it's
That's ours.
Yeah. He has said that he thinks they're exempt from the public bidding laws because they're a regional planning agency. I'm not completely sure about that.
I think that's true.
You think that's
I
true?
think so.
Okay. Good. So that would simplify, shorten the time frame if you don't have to issue an RFP and do some competitive bidding.
Is there, who else would we bring in as a potential bidder if we needed to? What kind of organization?
Probably, some private consultants out there that might even be competitive.
Well, even their scope includes subcontracting 2 of the studies done.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, MAPC would conduct those
Right.
studies.
So, I feel like the $23,000 skinny proposal is too skinny.
I do too, and I guess that's why I was looking at the phasing approach is the 23 not really giving us something that's meaningful. I mean, that was, I think, a reaction to the limited funding and resources we have
Yeah.
available and what could we fit. And
Yeah.
I think the answer is something that's not meaningful. So you look at what would be meaningful, and you've got 2 options, one at 64.5 and one at 42. I think the differences being some more extensive public engagement in a housing market assessment
Yeah.
in the other. I guess the reason I looked at phasing them is I don't know if it matters so much what the scope is. I think we'd like to do more. If we're only going to get 15, and that's the max we can get from NHC, then we can move forward on phase 1 with them. If we can not get the balance to do the study we'd like to do,
Yeah.
then we fall back to the 42, where you revise the scope.
Yeah.
Fall back to the website.
To the lesser scope.
Yeah.
I mean, what we'd like to be able to do is a $64,000 study.
Right.
That's the analysis we'd like to be able to do. MAPC at best is willing to fund 15. Phase 1 is going to be more than 15. And we could probably, if in fact they came through in March or April with their funding, we could complete phase 1 with our current FY13 funds and their grant. And then it just leaves what we may be able to receive from the town for FY14. Now, if we put a request in for the balance of the $64,000 study, which is reasonable, that's what we'd like to be able to do, that's the goal. If it doesn't, at the end of the process, we end up with something less, then we would have to refine the scope. We have a scope here that could be refined down to 42 if need be. But it means dropping some public engagement and dropping the housing assessment.
Laura, just a clarification, can we engage the MAPC in this and just look at phase 1? Can we pick out phase 1 and say, let's do phase 1 because we don't have funding currently for 2 or 3?
Oh, I think they're very open to that.
Okay, so then it would be incumbent then upon, so we could afford phase 1 today, but it's the 15,000 that they're going to contribute. We're just going to get a flat 15. It doesn't have to be for phase 1, 2, or 3. We can say we want that 15 to be used in phase 1 with our existing budget. Once phase 1's completed, then at that point we'll probably have already been to town, to the town for our budget request, and that will be a certain dollar amount, and then they can complete phases 2 and 3. They'd be able to break it out. Is
Oh,
my
yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just want to, this is as much for me as anybody. So just to be clear, our big assumptions are that, number one, we have roughly $9,000 in our 2013 EDC budget available to us. Number two, we're going to assume that we have a $15,000 grant through the MAPC. So we have total funds available to us now of $24,000.
Well, we're assuming we can receive the MAPC.
Right, that's the big assumption. If we don't have that,
Right.
we have,
You're starting with.
yeah. So we have potentially $24,000 in available funding. The phase 1 process, whether it is the $39,000 original proposal or the $64,000 revised proposal, is going to be in the 7.2 range, I think, for both of those. So we're still 3,000 short.
Yeah, and I think that's within scope management.
Yeah. And so then after that, I think we should, one of the questions is, what do we feel, the incremental value is of the housing market, of adding a housing market assessment to the overall report, and then being able to have a second public vetting of this information.
Well, I think the housing assessment is significant given our, and we'll talk about the 3-1 plan later, but we're looking at, specific areas that are likely to need mixed-use development.
Yeah.
And particularly when you look at the downtown, we already have a mixed-use structure in place, and the more we can expand on that, the larger the market's going to be to support businesses.
Right.
So I think the housing is significant. And I think given all of the activity, we've existed for 1 year. By the time, hopefully, these analyses are done, we're going to be coming up on 2.
Yes.
I think the public engagement process at that point in time is going to be important.
I do too.
And I don't think one meeting with that amount of data and with the significance of where we might go with it is enough.
And I would expect that the business community might be much more engaged in that forum than they were in the survey.
The other thing I wanted to note particularly about that phase 2 public engagement on the higher end analysis is that they specifically note the ability, as an example, of creating a tool that could actually show the tax revenue implications of various scenarios in real time. And that by itself, and frankly, if we have nothing else out of that, if we could have a tool like that available to us while we're meeting here, that would be valuable. So I think to have that kind of process is well worth it.
Okay, I agree.
And even if it meant actually cutting back a meeting so that we could do one meeting instead of 2, but the one has that type of tool available, I think it would be worth it. But I think that kind of detail and depth would be very important.
Yeah. So that would be almost like tax modeling, wouldn't it? Revenue modeling,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So, I feel like we have some very valid reasons for moving forward with a request for funding for the 64.5 proposal that would get us the housing market assessment, potentially a tool for running tax revenue modeling, a second public forum, and probably some other things that I need to go over this a little bit more carefully to identify. Do you agree? Any
Yes.
comments, any concerns about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a, like you said, point, it is significantly higher than what we had initially seen, looked at, and thought about when Barry was here last time, but it doesn't just capture more information, it captures more relevant information. And I think it'll help us both short-term and long-term. But again, it's a big increase, so we have to make a good case to I think the whole planning board and the board of selectmen, the town administrator, how the funds are worth.
And I think we went through this last year, and I think, I don't think we ever got the higher proposal in writing, because when we got the discussions, and the discussions were, it's going to be 50, 60 or so. We initially thought, well, that's too much, we need to pare it back, and we pared it back to the 30 million. And we ended up, in a position not being able to move forward. I mean, we came back to see what we could do, and that's where the $22,000 proposal came in, and it just simply doesn't make a lot of sense by itself. It does make sense as a phase 1 component, but it needs to move forward. I think if we're going to make a legitimate proposal for where it should go and complete that process, 64 is the deal. If for whatever reason we can't secure the funds, then you manage that. But we're close to being able to move on to phase 1, and I think you create phase 1 with phases 2 and 3 inside.
Yeah.
And I think it's that simple.
And phase 1 does have, it indicates an estimate for the market study, so, I mean, I know we're 3 short.
Right, and I
Yeah.
think to your point, that's a management issue.
Yeah, because phase 1 also includes a significant amount of staff time of reading and, kind of getting up to speed on existing plans. I mean, the survey data we have now that we didn't have at one point in time, being able to actually focus in on certain things, and cut that back.
There's also a contingency in the 64.
Yes.
Yes.
which is not done that in the other ones.
Right.
And I
Which is
think,
actually greater than the differential for FY13.
okay. What else do we need to cover regarding MVPC proposals or budgeting of that for the 2014 budget? Anything?
Now, I make a motion, Mr. Chairman, for discussion to move ahead with the proposal discussed, bottom line of 64. We'll work out the funding when we get to item 7, but I make that in the form of a motion that the commission move forward and engage MAPC and do whatever we have to do to outline, here's where we are, and we'll expect additional funds from them,
Okay.
not from the town.
You second that? And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we should do that. Thank you. And so then moving forward, the annual report to the planning board, as I mentioned, has been pushed back to, they are requesting January 10th. My question to this group is what the 10th looks like on your calendars at this point. Is that something that you want to?
10th is better than the 20th list, so. What do we expect for the presentation? Do we have a lineup, who's presenting, who's?
Well, we have outlined from Victor.
Yeah, so
I don't know if anybody else responded, but I thought it was
that makes sense.
Yeah. I think we need to flesh that out, and we need to put it in the presentation.
Are we planning on a PowerPoint presentation or just?
That's what I was thinking.
No.
You know, I don't think it's more than a few slides,
No, I don't think either.
but I think we just need to take those
Who's in it?
and then I hope to cover that tonight, but without Victor, I feel like we don't have a key stakeholder.
We have a meeting next week, is there going to be a meeting next week?
You tell me.
Well,
The
we're
20th is scheduled.
That's
Oh,
scheduled,
I
right?
see what you mean, yeah, okay, so we won't have that meeting, is what you're saying.
I don't know. I mean, I think that meeting was put on in anticipation. Oh, I'm sorry, was the 20th?
The 20th
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Well, it was listed as an EDC meeting as well, so again, the board, the commission will just have to decide if they want to do it next week or wait till a date closer to January 10th.
Well, the 9th is on our schedule.
Right, so
So
probably,
it's tight.
right, and given the holiday schedule, probably is necessary to hold to this week. I was not going to be able to make this week. That was sort of the case.
I'm in Memphis next week, so I told the chairman I'm going to be with it. What if we talk about Victor's proposal? So it's, you know, I thought it was to the point, I think that's what the planning board has asked for in the past. That's what we've sat down with them, more informal versus, I think we only made one presentation to them in the past. And that was as we were getting our feet on the ground and getting an understanding of what we were going to be doing. So to put that forward, I think the chair should do it. I know Victor would be waived to sit on the side and assist the chair, but I think the chair should represent the commission in front of the planning board, in my opinion. And I think that broad discussion is probably better. Clearly, we'll have some more specifics after tonight's meeting to share with them that weren't necessarily in Victor's, in the final copy of Victor's proposal. So, again, that's.
Yeah, no, why don't we plan that the chair will present. I'm looking for Victor's email. But I think that we need to probably take offline the question of the meeting on the 20th. I would like to try to have that meeting. I recognize that you and Colin will not be available, so the question is, do we have enough to have a quorum? Otherwise, we'll be just having informal. What?
I'm available.
Okay. So we need to find out.
And we know for sure that Victor is available because he's key in this instance.
I do not.
The decision. Okay.
I remember he indicated he was out of town at some point in time, but I don't remember when.
So let's follow up on everybody's availability for the 25th. If it's not going to work, I can sit down with Victor. You know, we can work on it offline if we need to.
The week would be, say, the week of the 24th, is people out of town. I have them out of town.
So are we leaving it to you then to determine whether or not we
I think we hold
the rest of the group and find out what people's availability is for the 20th. If we have a quorum, I'd like to hold a meeting with the key agenda item being the presentation to the planning board on 10th. If you could also maybe reach out to find out people's availability for that 10th meeting. So, based on that, we'll figure out whether we're going to have a formal meeting on the 20th or whether I'm going to just work offline, with Victor, we can keep everybody in the loop to flesh that presentation out. So, I have the recap, the outline from Victor Bill. And by the way, for those looking at their phones, it is from December 3rd.
Mhm.
So what we talked about is a 2012 recap, talking about the low-hanging fruit that we explored, which included wheels tax and dock fees, identifying possible sites for development, advocating and leading initiatives to promote the OCC. Yes?
I missed that one. I missed that one in his proposal.
Yeah, I mean, advocating and leading OCC
Right.
initiatives
Yes, yeah.
as a 2012
Mhm.
initiative. And there's some color commentary in here also that we will need to massage. The survey,
It should also specifically reference the Maritime Summit.
yes, I think, is that in here?
I think you did.
He did
Yeah.
somewhere, but I think it might have been a follow-up.
Here we go. You see it?
Yeah, it's not
Just
in
that's
here.
the way about the OCC. Yeah, I missed that one. You know what, I think I went from 2 right down to 4 when I saw survey. I just read the OCC.
Like a
I
long.
can see where my interests lie, or not where my focus was, not where my interests lie.
Yeah. So those were the major 2012 initiatives, and then the 2013 plan really revolving around the 3+1 initiative that we talked about in our last meeting, Bill, and that is, the three being our three major potential business districts, the harbor, the Driftway, and North Scituate, and +1 being the capital facilities plan and the EDC's, kind of role in making sure that economic development is considered as part of that investigation.
Do we know if Victor's had many meetings with the 15-member board?
I had not heard that he had had any meetings as of when we met.
met last
So,
Okay.
And I looked on the website too to see if there was anything on it about those meetings, and it didn't appear that any had been scheduled.
No, now there was a big brouhaha with the other,
Yes.
Well, with the Public Buildings Commission.
Well, they actually added, so it's 16 people now, what's 15? I think they added.
the Buildings Commission is pushing for that entire commission to be on that facilities.
That's a different, I think that's a different, I think that was Gates, the Gates study.
I thought it was the
I
entire
don't know,
facilities.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because they're saying that they are in charge of town.
No, I understand that point, but there are actually two committees.
Yeah.
One is the Capital Plan Steering Committee,
Mhm.
and the other is the Gates Feasibility Estate Process Committee. And I think,
You thought they wanted to get their commission on the gates?
I don't know which one it was.
I thought it was the facilities,
Yeah.
which would make sense, that's the larger, broader project. So anyway, I think I got the sense once I read that perhaps the advisory committee that Victor is on has been, maybe on hold pending resolution of.
Well, I think technically they were just appointed last month. So, in
Yes.
terms of the
Yeah.
timeline, they were appointed, I think, right before Thanksgiving. And I think it's simply just been logistics for the holidays.
I think it was closer to November 1st that they were appointed, if I recall.
Anyway,
Because I missed the prior meeting, that's why I remember they'd already been appointed. And, we were wondering back in late October if they'd had their first meeting.
right, but as of our last EDC meeting, which was 2 weeks ago, they had not had meetings yet.
So if we just go back, Mr. Chairman, so you mentioned the 2012 recap and the
Yes.
2013 plan for the annual report.
Yes.
Just so if the group meets, then you mentioned just a few cleanup.
Well, I think there's color commentary that needs to be fleshed out for all of these.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we just put the bullet points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the recap, and
Yes.
then 1 and 2 for 13, and then the chair would the chair and any members of the commission who were there would be able to provide additional
Yeah.
commentary.
And also, you know, if there are other things that any of us feel should be added to this, either, you know, within the context of 2012 or 2013, or just a different approach to a presentation, you know, let's spend some time talking about that.
Well, I'm fine with the approach. I think the only thing I notice with respect to something like number 2 is how deep we delve into it. We've noted possible sites, and I took number 2 to mean our 10 goals approach that we initially, and most of which were in fact sites, though not all of them. But that included the meals tax and dock fees, so you know 2 would be like the remaining 8 or 7 or whatever. I just don't know how closely we want to get into, you know, providing that list. Again, we already made that presentation to them, so I don't think it's really necessary. But that's the only question I think that comes up is just what level of detail do we really get into.
I mean, also, you're talking about possible sites for development, particularly. So, I mean, I think the other thing is the work that you and Laura have done on trying to, you know, plot out.
Right, there have been mapping efforts. I mean, Laura puts together the lands inventory.
It's really still in the process.
Well, but even initially, in our first meeting, you had the whole list that we actually went through, that's how we came up with the 10.
Right. So I think, you know, that's an example of the kinds of things that I think we can add in here to flesh it out. But I think, you know, we need to be aware of what we've already covered with them, and also, you know, the fact that,
Right. One point on what we've covered with them, though, is we've made different presentations. We presented to the planning board early on, and they heard the 10 goals. We presented to the board of selectmen about the survey. So the survey would actually be technically fresh to this group.
Can we just add, or maybe in commentary on the 10th of January, just make sure that we add that we did present to the board of selectmen back in October, and there were a few planning board members there, but again, just adding to the color around it.
okay,
But I think the rest is indicative of where we were in 12 and where we're hoping in 13.
yeah, and I think probably one of the major things, going back to our top 10 initiatives that you just mentioned, is the fact that in 2013, we're going to be much more focused.
Yeah.
Do we think we're a little skinny on 2013?
Well, what we probably need to do is outline what we just went through about the NBC.
I was just looking for that. I mean, I think,
Because the planning board's involved in the bigger $64,000 proposal. I'm not sure if they're involved in that too. I remember seeing the planning board present findings to the Economic Development Commission and planning board. I don't remember if I saw that on small. So anyway, again, the point being, we want to add that as a
NBC.
Yes.
Absolutely, I totally agree. Okay.
So I think you need a motion for that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, great. So any other discussion that we want to try to cover on the planning board meeting?
I think it's good.
Okay, so Trish, again, you'll cover on some timing and attendance issues associated with December 20th and January 10th.
I will not be available on the 10th. I don't believe I'll be in, I'm going to be available.
Can we just skip back to the
You can
end?
watch it on TV.
No, it would be,
Yeah, that's
we will see new folks down in Florida.
Can we just get back to the NAPC proposal for a minute?
Sure.
I think there's some things that need to be done as far as that goes, and I think what they're probably expecting is, you know, this application is going to come from the town. So what I was going to suggest that I could do to help with this is I could write like a draft or a letter of interest or whatever. You know,
From the EDC to MAPC?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, and then, you know, just make sure anybody who needs to know about it at town hall needs to know about it and get it off to them.
That'd be great.
Okay.
So the
Yeah, thank you very much.
content Laura will be what now? I'm not sure.
Well, they're,
Or, I mean, just the purpose of it and the.
it's basically a grant application.
Okay.
And they had said back in August that they thought that projects would have to fall into one of two major funding categories. And one of those has to do with looking for regional services, which wouldn't have anything to do with this at all. And the other one would be sustainable development and preservation. So I think that's where this would go, but, you know, I can just go back and forth with Barry a little bit about how, because I know he's motivated to see this, you know, accepted and approved and so on, especially after having gone through the process last year and not having it go anywhere. I think it's a really good sign that he's still involved with it, but I'd like to make sure that we get this to fit because there are other people at MAPC that have to look at it so that, you know, we get this money.
Yeah.
So just essentially a formal request showing our interest in pursuing a study.
Yeah,
The
I think
structure
we need
within
to
their,
tailor
sort
or
of
to,
their sustainable development guide.
as far as the breakup of it, I mean, if we need to talk about, I mean, the fact that you're doing a housing study means that you are looking at housing. Housing is always something I'd like to see, and it's part of the whole sustainability to look at some affordable
So
housing.
we're not trying to make
That's a
our
good
project
point,
fit.
actually, because we were talking about, do we need the housing study? But I think not only is it significant, I think from our own perspective, but I think as a funding component, they're looking at sustainable programs.
Yes.
And without housing, you're gonna get hit quite hard, I would expect.
Yeah, probably.
Kind of related to that from a different angle is this economic development strategy document that Barry shared with us, which he kind of wrote basically a proposal for us
Yeah.
to submit. And I think that I'll be using this in the budgeting process to add a little color commentary to what we hope to get out of the 64,000 proposal.
You can probably reuse some of that in your budget too.
Right,
yes,
Other
yeah,
costs.
exactly.
Right,
Yeah, that's a good-
yeah. Okay. Thank you, Laura.
So we'll have a post for the meeting on the 10th of January as well. Which is where we'll be together as a commission.
Let's briefly touch base on this 3+1 plan. I think the next, so we kind of identified what it is. We're going to talk to the planning board about that being one of our major focal points in 2013. Where we kind of left off at our last meeting, Bill was what?
Captains.
Was thinking about taking our 7-person team and splitting them up into teams of 2 for each of those 3 development areas. And then having Victor as the 7th person and then liaison to the facilities initiative continue to own that. So the other 6 of us would break up into teams of 2 and then go off and start fleshing out some details around this outreach too. I call it outreach, but it's really kind of exploring opportunities, challenges, kind of doing a SWOT analysis for our 3 big market areas. So I think that that's still a, we need to, I think, identify those teams and get people paired up. We need to, I think, outline a list of deliverables so that we're all on the same page as far as what we're going to try to do. And then we need to execute.
So it's almost like we're embedding ourselves, inserting ourselves in those 3 groups. And when I wasn't here for the last meeting, but when I looked at at Victor's piece here, I thought, you know, we were looking at 25 different things when we first started, and we brought it down to 10. You know, very manageable, 3. It's almost like a precinct captain in a campaign. You insert yourself in Harbor, Driftway, North Scituate, and I look at some of them, I think, and no one is more important, but say Driftway might be the easier one. And I'm just putting that out there, whereas North Scituate, I mean, there's just so much going on compared to the Driftway, most of the cars in the middle. And they're deliverable, but I think timing will have to be managed by what we anticipate success is in each of those particular districts. And I hate to call it a district, but I don't know what we want to call it, but it's,
Well, that would be, I think, one of the first deliverables, regardless of timing, is what's the boundary we're talking about? Because when we were discussing the Driftway last week, or the last meeting, it's actually more Greenbush than what I had in mind as the Driftway. And North Scituate is more, or I think better described as Northern Scituate than North Scituate proper. That's certainly the heart of it, but it starts to encompass the 3A development concepts and interests that we saw in the survey from Booth Hill up to the Cohasset line. And so pulling it all together, I think, is part of that same idea when we say North Scituate.
But I like the idea of a SWAT team of 2 of us.
Yes.
But with that, we're going to have to get, I think, more folks on an ad hoc basis or an informal basis involved as well.
I think that's a great point, and I think, you know, to that point, you know, we need to reach out to those business communities, and, you know, we may find that there's a key liaison or 2 from each of those communities that's, you know, both interested and would be helpful to kind of grease the skids and, you know, getting that insight and information. And so
We also have some folks, Mr. Chairman, on the survey who indicated they're wanting to volunteer. Like one person here who might want to volunteer, or actually, he might say, he might walk away tonight and say, well, let my wife say at the arts side. But there are people out there who are willing and able. And I think, personally, I think on one end, it'd be great to have someone from Northern Scituate, as Colin terms it, Northern Scituate, as part of the North Scituate initiative. But then I think it might be good to get someone who doesn't live anywhere near it, to look at it with just a different set of eyes too. So, you know, a smaller group than this group, but if you have 4 people or 5 people, and then I saw the chamber has reorganized.
Yes.
And tried to retool, and I think we ought to bring them in.
Well, I was going to bring I was planning on talking to Nico and try to
Yep, right, who's now president of Shares.
Yeah, so I'm going to see him anyway for
Okay.
bring up the idea of just getting together and what they're doing now and what we could be doing, particularly with these initiatives. I do think that, I mean, with 7 members, you know, the subcommittee is a little odd, but I do envision this as being delegated to the 2 people as a basically subcommittee structure, and they're going to be authorized to coordinate with, you know, general.
whomever. I think what would be helpful is to just kind of flesh out as much of this as possible, so that we can kind of create a foundation, and then what comes of it along the way can be unique to each of these.
Let's assign. That's the first thing we need to do is assign everybody.
Yeah.
I don't care which of the 3. I have no preference.
So, Mr. Chair,
I'm very interested in all of them, so.
we request that the chair make the appointments of the subcommittees, the term Colin uses, and just let us know. You know, if you want input from us, that's something that, maybe you can just shoot an email, here are the 3 committees, let me know what your thoughts are. And then you appoint, you make a decision, you know, you might see it a different way.
Do either of you have a preference or interest?
I don't have a preference.
Because
They're all challenging.
I think they're all open then, because we discussed this last time. I think Jack was here then, and Victor was here. Victor's already on the capital plan. Jen is the only one who had an opportunity to say so, but I don't think we can keep it open. if nobody has a particular preference, and we'll open to it.
Then I'd let it, leave it up to the chair then to appoint. So you don't have to poll, so you've got 3 people here.
Yeah,
you don't have to poll.
I don't necessarily have a huge desire for one market versus another either. I do look at it, and on one hand, I say, well, I'm very close to the harbor, so, you know, maybe for some reason that would make sense. Victor really is representing northern Situate.
But Victor's on the capital plan, so
So
Victor's
Victor's
one
on
of the
the
6
thing.
members.
So,
No, the only one that
Jen
did
is North in Scituate.
Yeah, Jen might make sense, and Jack has had a particular interest in Deerfield.
So there you go, so you got Harbor, Driftway, North, and Situate, and then places.
And where is yours?
I am halfway between North and Scituate and Harbor.
Okay.
It's lonely at the top, Mr. Chairman, isn't it?
I'm going to take that offline, and I'm going to get back to you guys on that. Yeah, really. I don't recall doing this with the previous chairman.
That's why the previous chairman was happy to.
If you're in the process of
I wanted to be
chair.
quicker on the call. Quicker to delegate. Somebody delegated it back up to me. Lesson learned. Okay, so I'll look to make those appointments in the next couple of days.
Okay.
Let's spend a minute, if you don't mind, talking a little bit more about what these teams are going to do. Not that it has to be exhaustive, but I think it would be helpful to flesh out some things. I think, in no particular order and not particularly deep either, but one of the things that I was thinking about is we need to make sure that we review any and all existing development proposals that have been created that exist now. And I know that they exist for, every place. Also,
How easy is that to get?
I have also.
Okay,
For
all right. So they'd be available to us when the 2-member committees kick off, we'd be able to have access to them, or at least get them and review them.
This is another example of why it would be nice to have some central repository.
That's what I was actually just thinking, is whether we have anything that would be
If
available.
it's online, then we can
I
use.
mean, where I can dump it and everybody can get to it.
Right.
Do you use it?
I don't mind emailing them all, but
Any sort of data room in the town hall?
No.
Like a library?
Really.
Dropbox or
Oh,
something.
Well, that's,
There's no place.
no,
no
electronic,
place to
you
put
know,
the
digital.
online documents where everybody can reach.
No, but we might be able to set something like that up.
Because that would be useful.
Absolutely. Because the emails just get too
They're cumbersome.
I know, I've
voluminous.
got them all
Too
over the
many
place.
threads,
Yeah.
So,
I'll look into that and I'll give you an email.
if you wouldn't mind,
Thank you, that'd be good.
So, let me take a step backwards for a second. Obviously, Driftway / Greenbush, Harbor, where the Scituate no-brainers. Humrock is hanging out there. It's an economic center. I believe that there are development proposals that have been conducted on Humrock, I'm pretty sure. And just want to throw out there whether, it didn't come up as a major point in our survey, but are we remiss to overlook that?
Why don't I can look at whether there have been development proposals and what they say. I mean, I think the danger with Hummer, it didn't come up on the survey. It hasn't been identified as one of the top areas, and it starts to, again, divert our focus.
Right.
And you go from 3 to 4.
And yeah, we have limited resources.
And I think, the premise of the 3-1 idea is, the 1 is moving regardless of what we want to do, so we need to stay on it. But the 3 deserve attention and were identified in the survey that we
Yeah.
conducted. And without staff, without, resources other than our own volunteer time, I think we have to limit ourselves.
Yeah.
I can take a look at Humrock. If something comes out, if I see a development proposal that is actually full and 1-1 that has something that we might be able to grab, then maybe it makes sense to add something there.
Yeah.
But
No, I totally agree. I just wanted to take a minute to.
I think there's a lot of
and see
potential.
if we have rationale
Yeah,
for.
I think there's a tremendous amount of potential over there.
Interesting though, it didn't come up in the survey in any significant shape, but
Which makes some sense.
it's also it never came up in our top 10 either.
Right.
It wasn't one of the focus points, and yet it's a big piece of real estate with a lot more potential possibly, but it has never been it's never been something that's been brought up.
Yeah, I think from the survey, I mean, it's a much more seasonal residential population, so that's why, I think that's why we see a lot of that. The business survey across the board was light, and I don't think we had anything to identify whether it was respondents were from Rock or not. But I do think there's a lot of potential over there. I just think, you know,
Well,
in terms of
let's
our yield analysis, you know, the bigger bang for the buck and the directives that we've gotten to date and our limited resources, which are still set at 3. But I think it does deserve some attention, you know.
What are
Multiple
the
plans.
Yeah, and are you aware, Laura, of any proposals or plans that have been put forth on behalf or in the Humrock area?
There's one that is under construction right now. I think it's just about completed. It sells some condominiums.
Oh, yes, yeah, what are the old
The village
Mad
itself,
Fish
where
was,
we
yeah,
don't
yeah.
put it on a lot.
Right.
And then there's another site which is pretty much vacant, which needs redevelopment. And that whole business district is small. It was, well, there was new zoning that was adopted for an overlay district for mixed use back, I think, 2009. So there's been some fairly recent work with the community pretty intensively. So.
Well, let's,
Well, Colin's going to be talking to Nico too, so if you guys check to see, see what's out there. If you're going to talk to Nico, I mean, the Chamber's a bigger group than the Harbor Association, and like that. Maybe we would ask them what they've experienced.
Yeah.
From what their thoughts are. Let them know about a 3 and 1, and then it doesn't tell you if we're going
Right.
Okay, so we won't at this moment say that we're not going to add it to the list, but I think right now, I think chances are it's going to be, it would be a secondary focus.
It might be FY 50.
Right. But it's not off the radar screen. And I think that's.
I think it's important not to, I mean, as we're moving forward, because we can't lose sight of everything else going on around us, but we do need to focus.
Totally agree. Okay, good. So thank you for letting me off the track moving on. So what we're talking about are these teams doing, one, looking at any existing proposals, redevelopment, development proposals that are on the shelf already. I think reaching out to merchant associations, like the Harbor Merchant, I think there's North Scituate, probably not for readers, but there might be. But looking at what merchant associations exist out there, or other kinds of, organizations. We need, and probably related to that is just business outreach.
in each of the 3 districts.
Yeah, in each of those 3 districts.
You mean like canvassing, chatting with.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure what form that takes.
I think I think in terms of staying focused, what we're talking about now is the initial work plan for the repair. And I think it's a business outreach plan.
It really is.
I think we've outlined what steps we're going to take, the next 3 months to reach out to the district that we're charged with.
So let's say business outreach as a line item, I think we can cross off. I think you're right, all of this is.
I think business outreach as a element of, I think we need the teams need to come back with an outline of the plan. I'd like to add a boundary in the profile, because I don't know, I want to make sure we're all talking about the same thing when we move forward and somebody comes back to report on their district. We know what area they're really talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll expand on that. I'd like roads.
Yeah.
Instead of the driftway.
Right.
Yes.
So an actual road and then where it ends. And,
Well, once we've decided what the districts are, we'll map them out.
okay. All right.
So that we have them for references, and we can pull, won't talk about it when we get to the budget, but again, I've got things I've pulled over the year. We did one of the, we maybe want to have this, what we did for FY 13. but data collection and kind of putting together an EDC data book was something I started, and it's not compiled, and now it's going to be updated. But there are printing costs for all of that. But putting together that kind of profile for the district, I think will be important.
So should we add that to the 212 recap and anticipated 2013 plan?
Yep. And I think it would be interesting to look at boundaries and profiles from a couple of different perspectives. One is you can look at it from like a zoning map. The other thing you can do is based on, what the business community considers it. So it could, I'm just thinking it could be different.
Yeah, I think we come back with what
Yeah, that's part of it.
as we're in our conversations with the districts.
Yeah.
If they start telling us you're wrong, fine, we amend. That's actually why we want to be talking about it. Well, I would guess, West Scituate Village doesn't contemplate 3A in terms of development area,
Right.
but for our purview, I think we should.
But again,
So
I agree.
it's-
But that's what I'm saying, is the business community in North Scituate may say, oh, no, it stops at Country Way. But but the zoning, and maybe the zoning stops there too, or maybe the zoning goes out to 3A, or maybe we said, the zoning and the business community sees it stopping here for the purposes of our exploration, we want to pull it out to someplace else. So that's all. The other thing, is I just think about it. Let's go now.
So you talked about creating a work plan. The first item under the work plan would be a boundary and profile review. That would be technical. And then a reach out to business owners. We can define that a little more. And one of the subsets of the reach out to business owners would be a boundary and profile via the business community and how they view it.
Yep.
But I think we need to be upfront when we're with those three groups, what we as a commission feel the boundary and profile should include, because you don't want to go forward, and I'll use, I'll use North Scituate, but that we, this group, through the survey, felt it included that 3A corridor
Right.
to a certain stop
And I think
features.
that's probably, unless you have something specific.
Kind of a more overarching thought, and that is creating a mission statement or an objective
To the district.
for this,
Oh.
this thing.
So not for each district or not for each of the
plan.
three.
The effort, the 3+1
Mhm.
is to do what?
Just, I have a suggestion. If you're going to be going out to these, businesses and these people in these neighborhoods, you're going to have, go to them and tell them what you're doing.
Right.
So you're going to need, a nice, easy bullet point that you can tell them what you're doing so that you can get the necessary feedback from them.
Elevator speech.
Yes.
And also, I think to that point, some of this does have to be scripted, only so that we know exactly what is being said and we're consistent about our message.
Because I don't trust Bill, because
I don't trust myself.
No, I think that's important.
Yeah.
The way this will happen as a practical matter. It's going to be split in time and person.
Yes.
And it's going to have to be.
Bill, I'm kidding, obviously, but.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening to Mr. Chairman. So let's talk about it. Let's just brainstorm then. A mission statement doesn't have to be 2 paragraphs. It can be 2 sentences.
Sure.
Yeah, it should be, for the plan.
Right.
I think the teams need to develop the elevator speech for the district.
So you'd want to do one for each, or?
No, I'm saying that this.
There's a difference between what I think we're talking
I
about.
mean, this comes back to the planning board presentation also, frankly, when we talk about, we're going to do this 3+1, and we're going to do all these things. Why are we, why are we doing this? What do we hope to get out of this effort? Where will we be?
Well, I think the premise of it is the necessity of focusing our attention and the limited resources we have. And I think, Victor said it well before in terms of the yield of our efforts. There's a difference between the economic impact and the attractiveness of development proposals. And we only have so many resources available to us, and we need to maximize that yield.
That's, to me, a rationale.
Right.
But, so I want to get upstream from that, and I think, and I don't have it written anywhere, so I'm brainstorming along with all of us, but let's just go back to what do we want to get out of this. I mean, at the end of the day, to me, it would be, we would have a sense of, kind of concrete, actionable opportunities in those markets, within the markets and across the markets. And I'm just, a lot of times when I do these things, I just start, I'm trying to get some thoughts down, maybe we can expand.
Or we just look at our own mission statement that we have and maybe take a piece of that and then apply it directly to the three areas, Driftway, Harbor, and North Scituate. Northern Scituate.
I have that because we're going to talk about that as a line item in the budget.
Okay.
So just for everybody's, as a refresher, our mission is to enhance the existing business community, attract new business, attract new customers, and encourage redevelopment and new development as may be advisable in order to increase the town's property tax revenues, income, job base, and overall economic health. Thank you, yes, thank you. Great.
Sorry.
Okay.
So can you take these or sign?
Bill, would you take this one?
Oh, sure.
Do we lose it once we have it?
Yes, we do.
We do in terms of being elected.
That's right.
Okay.
We're okay, we're good?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Yes.
We have to be careful. Move that we adjourn the meeting of 12/12/12 and reconvene at a time determined by the chair, and most likely at 12:20.
With the budget proposal due in 2 days. So I think we would, do we need to discuss, I guess the only open issue in my mind in terms of the budget is the possibility of a part-time position.
And the numbers that go with it.
Right.
Because I think we fleshed out the line items.
Yes.
We need to flesh out the numbers, but if you need help me with parliamentary procedure.
So I withdraw my motion to adjourn. Mr. Chairman, I would ask that the commission meeting session here vote on its 2014 fiscal year budget in an amount not to exceed
Stand by.
we're asking $75,000.
Well, 64,000, or no, something 64 minus 24.
66.
Around.
What I,
What I'm saying is the MAPC budget could take.
37.3 is
Yeah.
phase 2. And now, the question with that is the 3,200 differential.
We need to add that.
Which is, right, that I think I agree, and that's where we end up at 40,500. The part-time position, if in fact we want to include that, I think is a $20,000.
Yeah, I was going to say 20 to 25.
It's 10 hours a week at $40 an hour based on the Medway example
Okay,
that we've seen.
is 20?
20,000
On top of
on top of
44.
40,000, right. The other line items that have gone back and forth, business forms, planning 3 at $250 each in terms of expenses would be $750. Marketing and promotion as a general concept would be $1,000. Printing, production costs, and mapping, I was pegging that at $500, or you might have a better sense of what some of, if we do a size E map. But
I throw maybe 1,500 in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we also have printing costs that
well, actually, this is where the idea
printing costs, but also for Trish
This
as
is
well.
where the idea of the EDC data book came into. So 15, I think, is fair. The only thing I had in my list as a total outlier is the ArcGIS business analyst software,
Which is
Oh,
4,000.
which it's a one, I mean, if we want to throw that in as a proposal, that would give us some additional tools to move forward. It's a $4,000
Yeah.
license.
So it's the one, what, is it for a year?
Yeah.
4,000.
The 4,000 is a one-year
It's going
license.
to be
But
like some kind of annual fee, it's not going to be much.
Yeah, okay.
So where are you then, Toby? Are you at 75?
40, 60, 46, 67, roughly 67, 68.
So I'll amend my motion as chair down to 68,000 submitted for, 70 is what I said. So 70 would be the motion on the floor for 2014 FY.
Not to exceed.
EDC, not to exceed
2014,
2014
Yes.
okay.
FY budget.
So, in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn
Second.
this meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.